And we begin tonight at 6 o'clock with Indiana Governor Mike Braun setting the stage for a vote to redraw our state's congressional districts.
However, right now it's still unclear whether or not this push really does have enough support from the GOP to cross the finish line. State House reporter Emily Longnecker joins us live. She's at the Indiana State House downtown with the very latest on where things stand at this hour. Emily.
Hi, Ann and Scott. A spokesperson for the leader of Indiana Senate Republicans says the votes still are not there for redistricting. It's a different story in the other chamber. In the House, a spokesperson for Todd Houston says the votes are there among House Republicans for redistricting. 13 News spoke with two leading voices on opposite sides of this issue. Democratic Congressman Andre Carson applauded some Republicans in the Indiana Senate who so far have not said yes to redistricting.
I commend them. They have chosen their morals despite very intense pressure in the face of threats and bullying. They're showing great political courage. And, Hoosier lawmakers answer to Hoosiers, not Donald Trump.
Carson's district, centered in Indianapolis, is one of two congressional seats held by Democrats in Indiana. The other is held in the northern part of the state by Democratic Congressman Frank Mervan. Carson said he couldn't say why Governor Braun called a special session, even with word that the Senate Republican caucus didn't have the votes to support redistricting.
I don't know what's in his head, but I know what's in the head of Hoosiers. Hoosiers don't want this.
Republican Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith told 13 News he believes lawmakers will ultimately support a move to redraw the state's congressional maps.
I think for years we've had this idea that if we're just nice, everyone else will be nice. And unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. I think Donald Trump, one of the greatest presidents in our lifetime, in my opinion, he's shown the Republican Party how to fight fire with fire.
Beckwith said he hopes the push to redistrict will force the United States Supreme Court to get involved and make rules on redistricting.
I would be against redistricting if I could trust our states, our fellow states like Illinois and California and New York to all play by the same rules. The problem is they're not. And so it's going to take the Supreme Court to get involved.
The Supreme Court has already heard arguments in a redistricting case out of Louisiana that could decide how much race can be used in drawing congressional districts and how maps can be challenged in years not tied to the 10-year census.
So for Indiana to do this right now, this is one more step to say, Supreme Court, we need you to tell us the rules that everybody plays by. And at that point, then the issue's solved.
Congressman Carson cautions Republicans about having other motivations.
And so to do Trump's bidding, thinking that you will have some kind of gain that will open your vista of political opportunities is a grave mistake.
Now, some lawmakers have said publicly where they stand on redistricting. Many more have not. State Senator Linda Rogers told me today that she has not decided yet. She has not made a decision because she is still hearing from constituents, some saying yes and some saying no. Meantime, voting rights advocates still continue to lobby senators after word that some senators are still a no. These voting rights advocates told me that they will be here tomorrow with care packages of snacks to, in their words, encourage these senators to keep going in their push against redistricting. Ann, Scott?
All right, Emily reporting live for us tonight. In Emily's story there, we did hear from Congressman Andre Carson, and other state Democrats are also reacting to this news of a special session tonight.
Many are pushing back on this idea of redistricting, saying Governor Braun and Republicans are trying to steal more seats ahead of the midterm elections. Indiana House Minority Leader Phil Giaquinta encouraged Hoosiers to continue to make their voices heard on this issue.
It's going to be best for these reps and senators to hear from folks that live in their districts, that know them and talk to them all the time on not just this issue, but all other issues that come before us during session. And so those voices are much more important than me or any of our fellow Democrats calling them. And that's why I encourage them to do so.
We'll share reaction from more lawmakers and take a closer look at this debate surrounding redistricting on a special episodes of Crossroads Politics.
Recorded just hours ago, it is now available on WTHR+.
The FSSA will not issue November food aid as long as this government shutdown continues. That was the message of a letter sent to Indiana SNAP outreach partners today.
This all comes as the U.S. Department of Ag says the well has run dry, and the Trump administration will not use $5 million in contingency funds to keep the SNAP benefits flowing into November.
Jenny Webster tells us tonight what this means for Indiana residents.
There's about 600,000 people here in Indiana who rely on these SNAP benefits. We've tried to put together a list of some common questions about what you need to know. Let's start with, how did we get here? The government shutdown began October 1st after Congress failed to agree on funding allocations. We were originally told there'd be no pause in SNAP benefits. Now the USDA says no payments will be issued November 1st.
That's what I've been told, is that it's all about the timing of the shutdown happening right at the beginning of the fiscal year, that there is no money available.
Can states pay out these benefits? SNAP is a federally funded program. The USDA says states covering the cost of benefits won't be reimbursed. State Representative Gregory Porter plans to ask the State Budget Committee to transfer funds to cover SNAP payments and add a supplemental payment to food banks, which are expected to be strained.
The size of the SNAP benefits and the number of meals provided by SNAP is far more than the charitable system currently provides, and there's no way that they can make up that gap.
Kate Howe is the executive director of Indie Hunger Network. Will October benefits roll over to next month? Yes, Indiana FSSA tells 13 News that money will still be available November 1st. Will benefits be paid retroactively once the government reopens? Howe says yes, if SNAP is included in the budget. And what do I do if I receive SNAP?
Start talking to folks about what other resources might be able to help you.
In Indianapolis, the Community Compass app tells you where you can find free food. Howe also recommends enrolling in WIC if you're eligible, and enroll your kids in free and reduced lunch. Now, if you don't receive SNAP benefits, Howe says food pantries and food banks are going to need a lot of donations and a lot of volunteers.
Thank you, Jenna. Good news for families today. Indianapolis Public Schools now tells 13 News the federal government shutdown is not impacting their ability to provide free meals to district students.
We've had some sun, we've had some clouds, we've had some showers. Most of central Indiana continues to be dry, and it's going to be a really nice sunset where we do have that mix of sun and clouds. Bainbridge at 57, 61 over downtown with more clouds and some nice fall color. The Country Club of Indianapolis, you can see that bright orange and red, 61 degrees currently. The showers mainly impacting the southern part of the state, and they are light from Seymour, Brownstown, Bedford into Mitchell. This is where we will find the showers this evening. Everybody else dry with some clouds around. Evening temperatures in the low 60s. Overnight, we're down into the 40s. Clouds and 60 in that Tuesday forecast.
All right, Angela, thanks so much. Tonight at 6, we're following a developing story on the west side of Indy where police are now investigating a hit and run involving a minor.
The details are pretty limited at this time, but here's the latest of what we do know at this hour. Police responded to a report of a person struck near 34th and Allison Avenue just after 4 today.
The victim was taken to the hospital in critical condition. So far, we don't have any information about the driver or the vehicle involved in the crash. We'll keep you updated, though, as we learn more.
To Jennings County now, where attorneys for a teen who's accused of raping a young boy on a school bus are now asking the judge presiding over the case to dismiss the charges. The prosecutor charged 15-year-old Landon Doty as an adult on 12 charges that do include rape, child molesting, and sexual battery after reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance video from the bus. But Doty's attorneys and the family claim that surveillance video on the bus does not show any of the alleged acts happening. According to new court documents, both the bus driver and the bus monitor said they saw no sexual acts and, quote, nothing alarming. Tonight, an Indianapolis church is searching for the person or people responsible for breaking into its food pantry.
As Samantha Johnson shows us tonight, all of this unfolded while the community was there over the weekend celebrating a major milestone.
Barnes United Methodist Church is celebrating 146 years in this community. They celebrated big over the weekend, and while they were here, that's when they noticed someone threw a brick through their window leading into the food pantry inside.
Yeah, you can see the glass broken. It's from up here to down here where the glass is broken. We have now covered this up until we can get the window fixed.
Reverend Dr. Charles Harrison tells me his church opens the food pantry to the community once a month, and they serve meals twice a week.
So we don't know if because of the hard times that people are experiencing right now, that someone was so desperate that they tried to get in the building. But we say as a church, all you had to do was come to us and we would have provided for you.
Reverend Harrison hopes security cameras will help catch the person who did it.
The church serving up meals in the meantime.
Yeah, we're going to get it fixed, and then we're going to continue the great work that we do in this neighborhood.
In Indianapolis, Samantha Johnson, 13 News.